Thank you so much. Fascinating, fascinating panel. It's pretty clear that data has become so central to how platforms operate and how you extract value. And it's really interesting to hear about these big industrial companies looking to ecosystems and allowing third parties to build. I mean, it's pretty stunning. You wouldn't have thought of that, in 2016. So where's Hari? Oh, there you are. Come on up here. So at the Platform Strategy Summit, if you know this event, not only do we want to bring, people with deep domain expertise in platforms and share that with you and learn from you as well, but we also like to experiment. So over the number of years, we've done some things. We've had musicians come by using music platforms to find them and bring them. We've also, last year, used a technology called Twine, because we were online, to create those same-side network effects that wouldn't have happened otherwise. One of the problems with doing things online is we're, presenting to you rather than having people meet. And one of the reasons you do these events is to have that networking take place. And last year, it worked very well. We had 12 hours of interactions take place through that vehicle. And I built a network map that showed the connections. We had people talking from India to people in Africa, and people in Africa talking to people in Europe. It was pretty amazing, so exciting. So this year, we would like to do another experiment, and this is around this idea of you come to this event, you learn a lot of things, but in 6 weeks from now, 2 months from now, how much will you remember, right? And we all forget. So the idea is to figure out how can we create incentives to continue learning and build a community around that. So I'd like to invite Hari Abduri, who is the co-founder of MyLearningNFT. Hari has tremendous experience in HR over the years, so he knows a lot about executive education. So he's going to spend a minute explaining what this concept is and how it's going to work. And thank you very much for coming. Yeah, you got the clicker. So
all right.
It's all yours.
Good afternoon, everyone. Peter, in his wisdom, put me between you and your lunch, so I'll try to do a good job. Firstly, thank you, Marshall, Jeff, and Peter, for partnering with MyLearningNFT. We appreciate the opportunity. So first of all, good news. All of you are part of an exclusive pilot that we're doing across. So those of you who've signed up, we love you. The rest, you still have a chance. On my last slide, there'll be a QR code in which we're going to, in case you're not already registered, you can still do that, right? So you'll get an opportunity at the end. The good news is that you have spent, those of you who spent yesterday and today, a couple of days, travel time, all of that, this is your investment to be top-notch platform strategy leader, right? So therefore, if you have registered for the MyLearningNFT, and which you will get shortly tomorrow, you will graduate with an NFT looking really cool like that, right? There's a little bit of bad news. I'll come to that in a second. But the good news is you're graduating with an NFT that has got certain amount of points because you've already spent time learning. Now, what happens is that as time progresses, if you do not learn every 90 days something to do with the topics that you heard, whether it is government policy, legislation, data privacy, indicators, or any other thing that you talked about this morning, right? Web3 technologies and all of the more topics to come in the afternoon, talent divide, everything. If you don't learn something in 90 days, it will depreciate or degrade. So it's most towards the right side of the screen that you see. So visually it depreciates, you lose points. But every 90 days as you continue to learn, your NFT appreciates in value, and therefore you can feel better about yourself. Have you heard of this app called Noom? So this is the education version of Noom. It keeps you healthy. It keeps you top-notch. It keeps you kicking and alive in the platform strategy world. Now, the reason why this moves and appreciates and depreciates in value is because it's a dynamic NFT. It's not static. So it's not a bored ape, right? And I was thinking, Peter, maybe we should do a board platform strategy professional kind of a thing and create funds for platform strategy research. So everything board, as you know, has crashed in value because there's static NFTs. This is dynamic, right? Which means the token has editable properties, and you are in control of editing that. And that is the reason why it's a dynamic NFT, and that's why it makes it very unique in how we apply it to education sector. So, okay, so your company has spent, or you have spent, anywhere between $2,000 to $4,000 on an education program. It could be executive education, it can be a conference, it could be platform, probably the next summit in Bali, somewhere on the beach side, right, with a couple of mojitos. Either way, you spend that money. How do you capture the value of investment? There is an intangible cost as well, the time that you're spending. Sometimes I look at the room and I want to understand what is the average per hour salary or wage of all the people sitting in this room. That is an investment too. It's not just the money that the company spends. But then you have two challenges. Challenge number one is, how do you know the participants keep learning after you leave this conference? We have no idea. We believe because you've come here, you already have the curiosity and therefore you keep learning. But there's no real tangible, measurable way for us to measure that impact once you leave. The second challenge that you have is the forgetting curve. For millennials like me, forgetting is not an issue, right? But Peter and I co-founded this together because Peter and I have some terrific memory. We never forget anything. And we wanted to share that really special human quality with each one of you. And forgetting curve is very real. According to the Chief Learning Officer magazine, companies spend almost $200 billion in training globally, right? But we do not know how exactly that impact works when they leave. Therefore, Ebene's curve is very real. So when you leave this course, sure, you have some notes, you have some memories, and like all modern conferences, you have notes in the form of pictures on your iPhone. However, it's not real learning yet. So how do we counter this? The MyLearningNFT, because of the dynamic nature, this is an illustrative flow. When you graduate, you're graduating with mid-tier points, right? You're at a certain level. If you do not do anything in 90 days, the value depreciates. And as you kick in some learning from your part, it goes up, and therefore based on the points. So that is typically how a life cycle looks like. So what is in our control is that in 90 days, if you don't learn from the last action taken, it will depreciate. However, if you're on vacation with your kids and you want to avoid them, you can learn a lot and earn a lot of points together, right? So it entirely depends on how your disposition is. How does this work? There are two elements to MyLearningNFT, or two components to how this works. First is what we call as learning actions. You and I learn through listening, reading, watching, speaking, writing, right? These are not natural human habits. So if you read an article, you read something. The second component is what we call as knowledge areas. This is where the co-chairs of the summit come in, and I'll explain that in a second. The knowledge areas are curated based on the event, conference, or the course that you're attending. So Peter, Jeff, and Marshall have curated a set of topics that ideally you should keep learning before you come back for the 2023 summit, right? So I cannot go out now and start learning, how democracies work, for example. That's not verified, right? Because what happens is, as you submit these learning actions, they're going to verify that actually you're learning in the areas that you're supposed to do. And that's what makes it very special. So you have the learning actions on the left. This is an illustrative list of topics that it could look like when you get your NFT. It gets minted tomorrow morning. You get access to it. And let's say, for example, the applications of a dynamic NFT for both customers and employees, right? There's one. So if I read an article in that space, I say, okay, here is an article that matches that topic, and I submit that. And magically, one of the co-chairs will verify it and approve it, and you get points. And therefore, your NFT stays alive. I really want to stress this. I think very often you go to summits and conferences where the co-chairs or the speakers are at a distance from the participants. What MyLearningNFT creates is it removes that space. They actually know and they're involved in helping you learn, helping you, acquire more knowledge over the period of the next 12 months. And the 3 co-chairs are curating those topics and helping you go through the process. Obviously, this is a platform, right? We are still in a pilot stage. It's simple two-sided. We have the thought leaders and the speakers on one side. We have the summit participants on the other. And the interactions, obviously, we are facilitating. And through some very simple set of actions. So post-summit learning, obviously. As I mentioned, the co-chairs verify your learning. Speakers continue to share. Many of the thought leaders on the stage write often, they speak often. They're doing a lot of research, and this entire research will be available to you to support your learning through the MyLearningNFT, and you get points and credits for that. So very quick highlights into how this could benefit you over the next 12 months and being part of this incredible pilot of ours. First, obviously, keep up the learning actions to keep your NFT alive. You'll have about 2 live webinars. There could be more, but at a very basic minimum, you'll have 2 live webinars on the latest research from the co-chairs and the speakers available to you over the next 12 months. You'll have quarterly emails from us giving all of the latest research from both the speakers and outside world that helps you learn faster. You have an exclusive invite to a closed LinkedIn user group. So if one of you has found an article that you think will benefit the rest of the people in this audience, you can share on that. So you're going to collapse learning time by 50% of the time because it helps other people learn faster. On May 31st, 2023, next year, right? If your NFT is in the top tier, it's got 5 stages, the top tier, you will receive a 30% discount for the 2023 summit. Cool? Okay. You will obviously see and benefit from this community, how it learns, and we'll keep engaging with you. And obviously, there are certain surprises. One of the surprises that I'm planning is a lunch with me the next time we're around, right? This is how the system will look when you get access to it. You'll have learning actions, knowledge areas. You can actually have your learning history. If by chance you happen to work for a company in a very structured employment with a boss who's slightly concerned that you've been away for 2 days not knowing what you did, right? As you learn actions through the year, you can actually capture your learning history and share it with anybody that you want. So it's a nice, cool collection of your own expertise, knowledge, and your own intrinsic value as a platform professional. The last 3 slides to summarize. I just want to take you back to a little macro level on how we believe this could work as a flywheel, right? And obviously, flywheels are very popular in the summit, I figured. Obviously, you're learning consistently every 90 days. That leads to user-driven, real-time curation. All of you are contributing your articles that you read, your webinars that you attended that benefit everybody else. That, in turn, deepens your knowledge, expertise, and capability. What it also does, it gives you breakthrough ideas. As you keep consistently learning and deepening your expertise, you're getting breakthrough ideas and knowledge, et cetera. It gives you new business applications and outcomes. And therefore, again, it goes into real-time user-driven curation that helps the rest of the cohort learn faster. Then, in addition, what happens is because of the consistency and because of the curation in real time, there are accelerated learning actions by you. So typically, what an organization would take to learn in 12 months, because of the cohort actually sharing with each other, we believe it could take 3 months, right? So the time to learn is really cut short. And obviously, we have analytics. We'll report out how the group is learning. I can, next year, maybe like how Peter has talked about the activity map that he created on interactions. We can actually show you that 50% of you read articles. Out of the 50% who read articles, 30% of the articles were on subscription models, 10% were on governance systems, 10% on data privacy issues. So you can actually see how each one of you learned at a cohort level, right? And that will be another indicator of where your interest lies. And obviously, then that creates better learning outcomes for the summit chairs next year. So here is the final slide. So if you have already not registered, there are about 38 people already registered. There are a few more. The first 75 are free in the pilot. On 15th June, which is tomorrow morning, you will receive an email from info@mylearningnft.com that will have a link to the MyLearningNFT system. When you create your login, within a few hours, the NFT will be minted. Then your clock ticks 90 days, right? And then we hope you use the system. We thank you for being part of this pilot. And I was telling Peter and Jeff and Marshall yesterday, there are many conferences that I see, but very few have the sharpness of the Platform Strategy Summit. It's meant for connoisseurs of platforms, right? So therefore, all of you are here because of the deep interest in the subject area and deep expertise that you want to build. And by using MyLearningNFT, we hope that helps you actually get better at it through the course of the year. So thank you for being part of the pilot. You will get the email. For those of you registered, you'll get the login information tomorrow morning. Within a day of that, your NFT will be minted. If you have questions, you can always reach out to us through the email system as well. And if you have any questions off the stage, me and Peter are available too. So thank you for your time. Enjoy your lunch.